What's up, everybody? Coming to you live for day 14 of 30. I know I had to stop doing the hand things. There's too many numbers to show on my hands, but 14! I am so excited. It's been 2 weeks as of today that I've been going live every day in this group, and I'll show you right here. Oh, what's that? That's you guys. I'm live on that group. Oh, that's trippy, right? Alright, so I realized too that I don't think I've worn this shirt yet, but 30 days straight of a different outfit every day for these lives is getting tricky. So I'm going to have to keep in mind which ones I wore so it doesn't happen again. It's alright, you guys will forgive me. Today we are talking about one of the requested topics, which is how to avoid the blood sugar roller coasters. So what do I mean by roller coaster? Roller coaster goes like this, right? Up and down. Now, of course, typically there's some loop-de-loops and some crazy turns, but we're simply talking about the linear movement of up and down. Now, blood sugars, as we eat, as we exert energy, as we sleep even, they can fluctuate. Now, there are many different variables that can cause fluctuations in blood sugars, so many that it's nearly impossible to keep perfect blood sugars. I have never seen anyone do it. And not to be saying that it's not possible, but I've never seen it done. So if you can do it, kudos to you. I'll post you guys, man. I will shout to the world, this person's found the answer to diabetes, but until that day, I will maintain my position on it is near impossible, if not impossible, to have perfect blood sugars. But that does not mean we should not try. So, to avoid the roller coaster effect of blood sugars, or going really high after a meal and coming really low after the insulin kicks in, and then because you're low you have sugar, so you eat the sugar, then you go right back up, and then you take insulin because you're super high, and then you bounce back down, and it's just this ridiculous effect where all day long you're chasing, and you don't want to be stuck chasing your blood sugars. It's a miserable place to be in. It makes life very difficult. And it ultimately makes diabetes hard to manage, and it's dangerous. Now, sometimes it happens. It happens to the best of us, especially when there's some mixed variables, like if you get sick or you get the stomach flu. I mean, that's the same thing. But different variables that are not part of our normal routine can throw this off. Even travel. So if you're traveling to a new time zone, if you're switching up your sleeping schedules, like if you are a night shift nurse, and you have to sleep during the day sometimes, and other times you sleep during the night, that can throw things off and cause blood sugar fluctuations and make it difficult to catch those roller coasters, and it throws off your readings the rest of the day. Now, outside of blood sugar testing with a glucometer, or a blood sugar meter, whichever one you want to call it, the easiest way to notice the blood sugar fluctuations and that roller coaster pattern, or lack thereof, hopefully, is through a CGM. So as you guys have probably seen, I wear Dexcom, got it right there. I have Dexcom G6, and I love it. I love the CGM. I'm on the fence with the company, because they are, well, to put it bluntly, they are on back order right now. I ordered new supplies a couple weeks ago, and they're still not here. Now, today, my old sensor expired. It was my last one. I freaked out a little bit. I was like, man, I need to have my CGM, because I've gotten used to it. And that's what happens once you do have that luxury of knowing your blood sugars 24/7 and seeing the trend graphs, is that you get used to it and you almost feel like you can't live without it. So today, for 5 hours, I didn't have blood sugar readings. Granted, I took my blood sugar tester with me, as a responsible diabetic should, and I dealt with it. Thankfully, I shouldn't say thankfully, unfortunately, my little sister is also a type 1 diabetic, but fortunately for me, she also has Dexcom G6, and this sensor right here is one that she loaned to me. Aw, I know, she's such a sweetheart. She helped me out, because I have new ones coming in the mail, but since they're not here yet, I ran out. And that happened because I had a few failed sensors that I talked about in a previous live, where 3 sensors in a row failed. And so I'm still waiting on those replacements. Until then, she's letting me borrow this one, and then when mine come in, I'll let her take a peek at mine. But back to the topic at hand. To notice the trends of the roller coaster, the blood sugar roller coaster, we watch the CGM to see if it's going up, if it's going down. There are different theories on how to best manage this. One of such is called sugar surfing. Now, the concept of sugar surfing is that as soon as you notice a trend upwards on your CGM, or if your blood sugar is rising, you take a little hit of insulin. That's probably a bad term. A little dose of insulin, or a shot, and that is in an attempt to level it out before it goes too high. So as it's starting to rise, take a shot, and then it levels out. And if you took too much and it starts to go down, you have a little snack, 5, 10, 15 carbs, and it'll come back up. And the idea is to minimize the roller coaster, so it's just creeping along all day, and it's a nice smooth straight line. Now that is kind of an on-the-go approach, but what I don't like about that is it means you are always looking at your CGM, and that's something that I struggled with in the past. When I got the CGM, I noticed that it updates every 5 minutes, which meant that if I wanted to see what my blood sugars were trending, seeing if they were going, if they were going up or down, if they were level, if they were dropping really fast, I could see that every 5 minutes. And so I would look at it every 5 minutes. And so I had to train myself to not be obsessed with it, because it's hard not to, honestly. So that was kind of a long tangent on CGMs and everything. Back to how to avoid those roller coasters. So one option is sugar surfing, where you take a little dose of insulin once you notice that trend line going up. This is going to take a lot of trial and error, and it requires that you are a bit obsessive with your blood sugar readings. But some people manage it very well. They glance down, see it's trending up, dose a little bit of insulin, go about their day. And they do fantastic with it. I've seen their blood sugar readings where it's near steady most of the time. They love it. So great for them. I'm very happy that it works for them. The second option is to time your medication and time your eating habits. So what do I mean by that? There's something that is called a pre-bolus or a super bolus, which sounds cool, but it just means giving your insulin a little bit early before you start eating. So if you were to pre-bolus for a meal, for example, when I eat, I pre-bolus about 10 to 15 minutes before I start eating. And that pre-bolus, as we're going to get like pretty complicated right now, that pre-bolus time changes per person, per time of day, per meal, and per macronutrient split, which means if you have a certain amount of proteins, carbs, and fats, you might pre-bolus 5 minutes before. And if you have a different type of carbs, proteins, and fats, you might pre-bolus 20 minutes before. Now this is also affected by the glycemic index and glycemic load of the meal, which is a measure of how this food is going to affect your blood sugars directly. There's a lot of info, I know, I just threw it at you, and this is like too much to take on. So that's all stuff we go over in our program, actually, that I created, because it's a lot of info, and so I wanted people to be able to understand how to use that info to better manage those blood sugar spikes and drops, how to avoid them. But first step in managing that roller coaster and trying to minimize it is to figure out when that food hits you and when your insulin hits you. So for me, insulin tends to start working about 15 minutes. And so I wait 10 to 15 minutes to start eating. Now for some, that's very difficult because you're sitting there staring at your food, waiting to eat. Now what I use that as an opportunity is an opportunity to have conversation. So if someone's in the room, I talk with them. I make sure to know what time I'm supposed to start eating, because if you wait too long, you might go low, and that's not fun either. Then you're chasing the low blood sugar. So it's something you have to be aware of. It's something you have to be actively paying attention to. But if you can figure it out, it works very well. And that is the first step that I would recommend if you are to try to avoid the blood sugar spikes and drops at mealtime. Now there are many other theories on how to best manage that. There are many other skills that I teach within the program, but that is the first one. That is the most basic one, and that's also what your endocrinologists and primary care doctors are going to tell you, is that to avoid those spikes, you should be pre-bolusing, but know how it affects you and know how it affects you with different meal types as well. So, if you guys have any more questions, I would love to hear it. I want to say a formal welcome to all of our new members. We have a ton of new people that joined recently. Very happy to have you in the group, and please know that Questions are always welcome. Please post funny memes, post your meals, post your sweaty gym selfies. This group is all about support. We're here to support each other, and we're here to learn in the process of how to best manage our diabetes and live a happy and healthy life. So I wish you guys a fantastic night, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow is the halfway point of the 30-day lives. I'm doing day 15. Let me know if there's any special topics you guys want me to talk about, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great rest of your night, and keep up the fight.